Well, maybe you haven't been waiting for it. I don't think you care, but here it is anyways. X-Men The Last Stand from 2006. This closes out the X-Men trilogy, the initial first three films. This came out in 2006, and people hated this movie. They really did. But I think looking back at it now, considering the films that have come after it and this movie's place in the franchise, I don't think that it's as bad as people make it out to be. I think it deserves a second look. I'll give you my score up front. This is a 3 out of 5. When you compare it to some of the other stuff that's come out, say Spider-Man 3, this is better than Spider-Man 3. And this is better than X-Men Origins Wolverine, which I watched. That movie's terrible by comparison to this. I think people's main complaints, if I have to sum them up, is number one, they didn't like the way that the Phoenix saga was handled. It's one of the most epic storylines in comics, and this movie didn't do it justice. I'm not going to argue with that, but this is an adaptation. It's not going to follow that saga exactly the way that it was. I mean, do you really want extraterrestrials involved in this? That would be really complicated and introduce a whole component into this universe that I don't know that people were really ready for. So they make the Phoenix, part of Jean's subconscious mind, which has been suppressed by Charles Xavier, played by Patrick Stewart. Now, the second thing that people are going to complain about is, this is the other complaint I hear, Nightcrawler's not in it. Well, Alan Cumming, he did such a great job in X2, but the makeup, the prosthetics that he was wearing were very painful, and he did not want to go through that again, so he does not reprise his role. But the good news is we get Kelsey Grammer as Wolverine, or not as Wolverine, but as Beast. Okay, so his Beast is amazing. I really like his portrayal of that character. I think it adds a lot. Now let's talk about the big problem. You have the death of 2 cast members in this movie. Now this movie is 20 years old, so spoilers. If you don't want to know what happens, stop now. All right, 3, 2, 1. Cyclops gets killed right off the bat, and then we also have the death of Professor X, and that really just infuriated people. They were mad about it. How did they do that to Cyclops? Well, it's not like James Marsden's character was doing a whole lot in this franchise anyways, and he was off to go film Superman Returns because Bryan Singer didn't come back for this, and we get it directed by Brett Ratner. But in the second film, X2, they did introduce kind of this subtext to the movies that these were a parallel to King Arthur, because Magneto was reading The Once and Future King by T.H. White. And then at the end of that movie, Professor X is talking about that book to his students. And there really is, if you watch these films, a parallel between King Arthur, Guinevere, and Lancelot. Cyclops would be King Arthur, and Jean Grey would be Guinevere, and Lancelot would be Wolverine. There's a love triangle. So this movie, if you want a map on top of the Arthurian legend, this is the fall of Camelot. This is the destruction of the Round Table. Professor X is definitely a Merlin character, just like Merlin was a teacher to Arthur in T.H. White's story. Professor X is the teacher of the X-Men. He is their guide, their instructor. Okay? So Merlin gets locked in the Crystal Cave. Merlin in the stories gets defeated by Nimue, which was his protege. And who destroys or defeats Professor X? It's his protege, right? It's a woman, just like the Arthurian legend. So Jean Grey is kind of a composite character. It's like if you took both Nimue and Guinevere and kind of melded them into one, that's what you would get. Now, the map of these characters isn't one for one, but it's there. The symbolism is all there. So I think this movie deserves a second look. I think it's better than people make it out to be. It's not like a great movie, but it's an enjoyable film, and I think that it holds up a lot better than a lot of the garbage that's been produced in the Disney Marvel universe over the past 2 years. I mean, The Marvels is out right now. This is better than The Marvels. I think The Last Stand deserves an apology. All right. God bless. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.